The Pokemon universe is always expanding, and yesterday space and time would meet again, bringing to life new creatures full of mysteries. As usual with these events, we'll go all in and try to explain in depth the new Pokemon confirmed in yesterday's trailer for the new Scarlet and Violet DLC. Keep in mind that we are entering a totally obscure and unknown terrain, so as good Area Zero explorers, it's possible that our way of looking at them will change in the future as we see them in action and learn more about their story. Today, let's just focus on having fun. Relax and go get something to eat, like a delicious candy apple, as we enjoy the beautiful Kitakami's festival in the cheerful atmosphere of a magical night. But be careful not to confuse one of these with Dipplin, Pokemon introduced in these DLCs to everyone's surprise. Because even if it looks like it, Dipplin is not a regional form of Applin, but a new evolution, by a method for now unknown, but quite easy to crack. This evolutionary line would be based on the classic wormy apples, but this time it would be a worm. That's the term for dragon in Germanic mythology and its descendants, like dragon or worm in Old English, with Galar being based on British and European mythology and folklore. Like so many other mimics of the series, this Pokemon would sneak into an apple to hide from its natural predators, feeding on it with its evolution depending on the type of apple it consumes. So it's easy to deduce that this new evolution will happen when the apple with the hidden Pokemon is accidentally covered in sugar to be sold at festivals without realizing the surprise inside, gaining a special form that remains to be seen how powerful it becomes with that unexpected feeding. As a curious fact, the Gigantamax form of Flapple was already based on a candy apple. It makes sense seeing that they are transformations that enhance the festive and spectacular character of the Pokemon, as shows in parties are the places where these sweets are sold and this rare Pokemon proliferates. Now, the consolation prize for having missed my epic Paldean Duraludon based on the windmills of La Mancha is this new evolution, the name of which I have no desire to call to mind. Archaludon. Wait. You're telling me that this dude, the strongest leader and second most powerful trainer in the most competitive region, who could very well have been champion in most regions of the world, has been having a not fully evolved Pokemon as the ace of his team all this time? According to the official site, when in trouble, this Pokemon extends its normally bent torso, trading some of its mobility for a more stable center of gravity. Being originally based on the Shard, an iconic London building, it would now come to look like an imposing suspension bridge, like the Sky Arrow Bridge in Unova. Interestingly, its limbs are now capable of accumulating enormous static electricity which, transmitted through its suspension cables, it can project into its powerful signature move, Electroshot. Since all the Pokemon with new evolutions in this generation seem to make sense in this region and trying to find order in all this chaos, now I ask myself, why would a British building become a random bridge in our Iberian Paldea? Well, I'm a bit lost with this one, but maybe the famous Zaragoza Bridge Pavilion is a possible inspiration. Being one of the most praised and important architectural projects at the time, it's an impressive and innovative horizontal building that serves both as an enclosure in which many exhibitions are housed and a footbridge over which to cross the Ebro River. That's all very nice, but bro, are you aware of the stats Duraludon already had? We are not prepared for a world with this monster with an Eviolite. Leon needs to get tickets to Miami. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes of the video with the two new Paradox that certainly saved Pokemon Presents and the DLCs, Ragin Bolt and Iron Crown. With the first one, the shock upon seeing it announced was instant for me, as I guess for many of you as well, for its suspicious similarity to the fan art or prediction that was shared the most through the community for Raiku's Paradox. The Pokemon community predicting something? Now that's a paradox. Jokes aside, the fact that it's practically a fan art made canon fits quite well with the theory that they are beings created based on imagination. It could be a coincidence, I guess, although it's already a lot of coincidences. What is undeniable is that although they have clear differences, both fan art and official designs took a common path: the Brontosaurus. Was it really a coincidence? Or was there something that could anticipate that the Thunder Pokemon was going to be based on that species? Well, the name Brontosaurus comes from ancient Greek and translates as literally thunder lizard, so yeah, it was pretty much on a plate. Additionally, there's the fact that thunders seek the shortest path to the ground and are more likely to hit something the higher it is. So there is a certain irony in inspiring the god of thunder in one of the largest land animals to ever walk the earth, So now you know, whenever you go golfing, always go with this Pokemon on a stormy afternoon. There seems to be a certain contradictory character in its nature, with an aggressive theropod materializing into a calm and serene Pokemon like the waves of the sea, and a pleasant and calm herbivorous dinosaur, inspiring an aggressive and lethal Pokemon like Thunder, with huge jaws and with the term Rage in its own name, as it happens with all paradoxes, isn't it? Now, going beyond the origins, as it always happens with this kind of new, more experimental designs, it has caused a huge division in the community. But would you kill me if I tell you that I love it and it's probably my favorite ancient Paradox design? I feel like the general idea of Paradox Pokemon, to be seen as unrealistic and inconceivable beings for the biology of this world, was indeed falling short with, fantasy and cliche-based beings, but quite normal designs that at first glance didn't at all indicate that it would be a Pokemon of the modern era. Of course, when delving into its details, it was possible to find those inconsistencies that reveal its nature, but Raging Bolt is directly seen as a completely delirious, nonsensical, and menacing being. It's more coherent in inconsistency, if that makes any sense at all, but it still manages to work and play very cleverly with the design features that Raikou had. The cloud-like mane goes to its towering neck, reaching the sky and actually looking like sinister storm clouds foretelling a terrible thunderstorm, in which the stripes on its body become arrows pointing down, implicitly directing at the imminent threat coming from the sky. And of course, the mysterious and unreal air of these Pokemon is very much in line with the theory we've been following. That Paradox Pokemon are not real, but created based on the imagination of someone with a head full of literary cliches and romantic and distorted ideas of what other eras were or will be, with their class full of dinosaurs and cavemen. Something quite characteristic of a modern-day artificial intelligence, huh? In the legendaries, we find directly the two species of dinosaurs that anyone who doesn't even know about dinosaurs would know how to name, to which we would have to add the Triceratops, which I'm almost sure Entei is going to be based. If Paradox Pokemon were beings typical of futuristic and prehistoric movies, Raging Bolt would not be out of place in a low-budget imitation of Jurassic Park. Not to mention how they clearly go against the legend of the birth of these Pokemon in Ecruteak City. Thus, it could be that they have chosen Pokemon with such a well-known and established lore as the ultimate indication that all these Pokemon are a lie and not a very sophisticated one. The Chinese Qilin and the Mesopotamian Serpapard are other mythological beings that could also have influenced its creation and fit perfectly in all this history of abnormal creations, distortion of reality, and paradoxes as phenomena that should not exist. Continuing with Iron Crown, the ones from the future are much more challenging to analyze, we already know that. Until we have clear details of their history and role in the game, it's difficult to theorize about their origin and concept in depth. But for now, we can continue to rely on the conclusion we reached in the video I dedicated to them. That they are machines created in the image and likeness of certain Pokemon that, after becoming extinct, left a biological niche that these robots automatons try to occupy. With that in mind, the Swords of Justice are a trio of legendary heroes who travel the world protecting Pokemon from human abuse and the harm it brings. Applying that concept to the dystopian future inspirations these forms have been taking, these versions could maintain that mission of maintaining order, but in a much darker facet. A sort of police of the future directed by an artificial intelligence, with a robotic body applied to different environments, forests for Iron Leaves, cities for Iron Crown, and the mountains for the future prototype inspired by Terrakion. Being totally devoid of humanity, they would execute the laws of that imaginary future without mercy, achieving peace and order, but at what cost? Whatever happens, I was genuinely worried because in the last trailers they weren't giving any attention to the Paradox Pokemon or Area Zero. And after seeing how they had put Iron Leaves and Walking Wake in the base games, I was already fearing the worst. That they were just an empty add-on, and when it comes down to it, they won't touch these topics again. With the presence of these in the DLCs, it seems to be confirmed that they will directly address many remaining secrets of these games, mainly the true nature of the paradoxes, the Terrastal phenomenon, and Area Zero. So my intrigue and desire to see what they have prepared for us is still alive. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together if you want to. So for now, you can have a marathon of all the videos I dedicated in the channel to the mysteries of this 9th generation, starting with the one you have on screen. Be nice.